Okay, let's go back to Revities. Okay, so application icon. If we wanted to go, we can go to new conceptual mass. You can also get it from that flash screen, and then we want to just pick mass. So this really limits our interface, so we're just dealing with massing. Okay, so it's not very different, but now we're not, worrying about all this extra crap. We do have the STL exporter. You guys should all have this now on all machines under add-ons. Can you guys double check? Add-ins, sorry. It should be. It should be there.
No, it's not in there. It's not in the conceptual mass. I'll try.
Wah wah. John Madsen, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We need to get this on here. Yeah, we're gonna need. It's okay. We'll figure out. John will have to get this added. I'll let him know it's not on there.
Would it be under both?
It'd be under add-ins. Should be there. I have it. So this will allow us to eventually export out straight. If we go back to create, we create everything the same way, but now we don't have to go into a model. It's on yours? All right. So some might have it, some might not. So in this case, we don't have to go into like a specific model. We can go ahead, like, we were in architecture and do like make conceptual mass and make the mass and then close it and open it. This, we're in conceptual mass the entire time. Okay? So we can just start making geometry. Okay? And if I just make geometry, and if I make like a rectangle, I can just extrude that, right? So rectangles get extruded. Okay? From plan. I can also draw rectangles in elevation. And they get extruded in elevation. Okay. And we can do any technique. And again, I'm just showing you a bunch of stuff. So if we have a circle, it's telling me make a sphere or make an extruded cylinder. So you get the option. And then again, at any time, we can pick these forms and turn them into voids. Right? And we can do this all day. So that's easy extrusion and subtraction. And they don't have to be regular geometries. And then we can manipulate these, right? If we take the top surface only, and then I scale that. We can do that, right? I can take, we can take any of these and start moving them around. Another trick is I can start drawing on top of surfaces, so I can draw on a face. Now guys, I'm just making crazy forms. This is not what I want you guys doing. I'm just showing you technique here. Alright. Can punch that through. Turn that form into a void. I'm not saying this, I'm just showing you freedom, which can be scary. I think you guys need to have reason. We can copy these geometries. Usually. This doesn't want to be copied because it has a hole in it. Because it wants you to pick the hole as well. So sometimes you need to copy before you make holes. But like I said, and you gotta be careful if we turn. Can turn these into voids. We can always come back and pick a top surface, stretch this up. Although, in this case I went taller than my void. If we can't see the void, if we select the entire piece and then hover over where the void is, we can then get the void. So anytime we want to go back to the void, we pick the piece and then we hover where the void should be, and then we tab through until we get the void. And then we can adjust the void. It's a little tricky. We can also come to these forms, select the entire thing, and we can go ahead. Well, in this case, it won't let me. Let's see. Yeah, in this case, we've overtooled this one. Let's go ahead and let's make a new shape. Do always the voidal commands last, because once you sort of void it, it sort of doesn't like to do anything else. So I can add profiles, typically. And then I can select those profiles. Do an X-ray, so if I X-ray it, I can pick those. Not sure why it's not letting me fully scale it, but we can start. There we go. So we can start manipulating this. So you can get really crazy with this. Well, again, I don't know why in the world you want to do this, but I'm just showing you. Revit does have some ability, and you can break it. So be careful. Sometimes it doesn't like certain things. Oh, I don't know why it doesn't like that. Hello, Genie. And then eventually, we can start making facades on these. So we can start subdividing them. Although sometimes I think I overtooled that one. It's 2015, not as good.
Yeah, right.
I don't know why it doesn't want to divide that. Okay, it's not. Just divide something simple. So we can pick a facade and divide it. So this starts to make facades that we can actually put in there. And again, a lot of this can be, it doesn't have to start off as geometry. We can sort of, so we can go to like a level 1 if you're starting just with line geometry, especially if you're trying to get like the profile of your, and then from there start to understand maybe some other geometries, like you're trying to divide this thing a certain way. And then we can look at producing some extrusions. Snapping the funny stuff. Oh, see, didn't like that. So guys better sometimes stick with a rectangle. Oop, did I not delete it? If you draw rectangles, typically they will. You got to make sure you're on work plane. So work plane will make sure it's going on the work plane. And make sure you set your work plane to level. So the placement plane is where it's going to be placed. So you want to make sure that's always so again, make sure you're on the right work plane. You can change these up to wireframe. So if it's some type of sort of stacking or stepping effect, and if we wanted to think about sort of creating voids, we can create voids. So if I go ahead and convert this to a void, we maybe don't want to cut this shape, so we can do an uncut. And put it back, only cutting one of the geometries. So uncut will be a technique, because typically you could avoid it cuts through everything, but you might want to uncut it. So uncut. I know I'm throwing a lot at you guys right now, but it's like, you know, pretty straightforward, somewhat. We can also, we can do 3D snapping. And if we wanted to make geometries that are, get a line, 3D snapping will allow us to 3D snap. Oop, I think that went in the wrong spot. Let's do that again. In this case, we're just making line geometry. That gets a little bit tricky if we want to make it surface. So that was not a closed geometry. But if it becomes closed, we can pick surface and start making surfaces. So all of a sudden this is starting to turn into a roof project. And sometimes you got to just redraw the lines. Now surfaces will be tricky to 3D print, but we can make it happen. So mass, point, line, surface, voids.
What do you do with subdividing a face that you have on the block that has the cylinder out of it? Yeah, or is that great? What do you use that for?
This here,
No, the subdivision, like the
this,
yes,
this will be later. We can put we can like do facades.
glass, window, curtain wall.
Yeah, so I can change like what the pattern is for this. So say, you know, in this case this can become a mullion system.
You got the voltage on?
That's the default. We can customize it all day to be non-rectangular. What I can do then is make, I mean, I'll show you real fast. I can make a 3D part that falls in this. We'll do this super fast. We're going to get into this eventually. It's not so critical for residential, but do this really fast. That can turn into real geometry. So it creates a sort of grid system that we can then apply sort of a parametric sort of component to. Again, this is more if you're doing larger projects, but not necessarily. I mean, we can use this for many things other than facades.
You do curtain wall that way?
This is the way I do current walls, yeah.
Not the curtain walls.
No. You want to jump out the window with that tool?
No kidding.
Make your own.
Yeah, I do a lot of all the curtain wall stuff through here. And you can customize all the panels as much. This is really the way you're supposed to be doing it. At least that's the way I do it. So again, for this sort of quick massing, I think it's, you know, eventually if we get it, if you're trying to show openings that are happening, I would think about how you live or how you want to live. I think we always have this preconception of how, you know, spaces are laid out, and we don't think about what happens in those spaces, which are probably more critical. So, like, you know, why is a washroom the way it is? Does it need to be that way? Is there a better solution? I'm not saying West Jones is a better solution, but and I'm not say it has to be that crazy. It can be sort of a subtle twist, but I think you need to sort of come up with some initial concept, okay, and start thinking about it, you know, in the sense of how does it fit on your site. And then we can get into, like, you know, what becomes opening, you know, and we can't really just take, like, we can't just take things into, like, surfaces, but we can punch, you know, we can start punch openings through this, like we do the voids. So if I come here, I can set an offset. Well, I can select, can trace that, and then come here and offset So I just trace. So this is like tracing the line, and then I can offset it like say 5 feet for right now. So I click that to trace the line real quick. Then I use offset, tab it till I get the perimeter line. Oh, come on, buddy. Let's try that again. So now there's me offsetting it. And then I can extrude this. And then turn that into a void. And then we can 3D print this, right? So if we want to create these sort of openings as part of our exploration. So again, I can say, so this is trace basically. So it traces it. Make sure it's on face. And then we can offset it. I'm using always the tab key to sort of select through. And if you look on the bottom left, it tells you if it's a surface. So bottom left here, it tells you what you're picking. Let me just draw a new rectangle, sometimes easier. Try that again. Just trying to get the right. There we go. No, missed it. Oh. We can extrude straight as a void. I mean, you don't have to be totally afraid of that. Usually works with the simple stuff. Okay, so it could be really an abstract little study, right? You know, say, you know, you do want to produce floor plates though. Again, make sure you're using, if you want to do stuff on levels. Alright, if you want to show where floor plates are. Yes? Yes, yes? So again, work within your dimensions, right, of the site. Work within your sort of setbacks. I like to sort of print these on Thursday, you know, sort of, and I think you might have like 3 iterations. You might just not have one, you know. This is the other thing is you might make, as you do these, we might make the next round and the next round and the next round. So I want to use Revit as a little sort of, as if we're using wire cutters, you know, and sort of making this stuff out of foam or whatever, you know. If we had that material. Don't get fixated on walls and doors, you know. Think about big punched openings or what, you know, where do you want to have openings, don't have openings. If you want to have sort of specific openings happening, and we can show those, just show those, you know. Those can be simple. You know, whatever, if it goes through the entire project. Okay, we can show those. You know, maybe the criteria here, this is where I'm sleeping, I want to have high windows. Come up with a reasoning. It's just not winging it. Okay.
Make it look too easy.
It is easy. This is like SketchUp.
Yeah. SketchUp, right?
What's that? SketchUp is, yeah, free for 6-year-olds.
Yeah.
So if we have forms, we can join them. And they turn into one. So we can join these.
Once joined, we can't go back.
Not too easily. So now this is all one sort of little project. Okay.
Say stay in the single family.
Sorry?
Could you say to stay in a single family?
Wherever you're working on. Wherever you decided. And then eventually we'll, under add-ins, we'll STL this out. Hopefully, we'll have this at some point. And then we have to go through that process. Are we in week 7? Oh, man. Time flies. And then last time we used Rhino. Let's get an approximation.
Are you against using modifiers in Rhino to print? You know?
Just do it all in Revit massing. Oh, doesn't matter. We're going to hit OK. Oh, yeah, brought everything. Cool. So we can delete all this stuff. So we'll go ahead and we'll get a distance here. So that was 52 feet. Just type it in units. Let's get back into feet. Oh, I got tiny. So let's go ahead and scale. We did reference, remember? Oh yeah, this is vertex. That's gonna be 52 feet. And then we said we did what scale did we do last time? Did we do 1/32nd?
16th or 32nd? I forget.
I think it was 32nd. So let's look at 16th. So a 16th of an inch. So, well, we have 52 times 16. No, sorry, 16. Yeah, 52 divided by 16. 3.25 inches. That's pretty big, yeah. So we did 32nd last time. So we'll scale this to 3.25 inches. And then we have to change it to millimeters. So we switch from units to millimeters, and we hit OK, and we said scale yes. And then we save this again as an STL. And now, do your computers have Makerware now? Or MakerBot desktop? Or no, Makerware for the MakerBot desktop. You type in Maker.
Yeah, it's there. It may not be on the desktop if you want programs. It's there.
Yeah, Google it.
So just go to programs.
Yeah, it's on
Yeah, just go to programs, it's there. Yeah, it's not.
So that's how big it is at. Yeah, 3.25 inches. So that was at 60. So we can always scale it. %. That seems maybe about the size. Yeah. So that was we were printing at 1/32. Well, it's 52 feet wide. It's pretty big. Okay. And then eventually we can save this and then print it. So we'll see. I mean, the key is that we do a lot of these, so we have like a whole little family. Okay. All right. Let me stop.